It's the Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, JLR is back in production, updates to the Defender for 2026, and Toyota's got a brand new FJ. Then Ike updates us on his wooden Land Rover project. And now, without further delay, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Beres, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at theberescollection.com or follow us on Instagram at theberescollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today.
I'm the conventional oil level indicator to Steven's electronic oil level monitor. I am the old dipstick of podcasting, Ike Goss.
I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike. Well, we're back. We're back from what was a long Rebelle season. It
survived.
But we did. We got through it. The car is back, although Liza spent not less than an entire day trying to clean off what I can only describe as cement from the end of that car. Holy moly. You know, you get it really silty, and then it rains, and then you get it silty again, and then it rains, and then you get it silty again, and you're just essentially making concrete. Or a fine pottery, one of the two.
A sedimentary rock of a Land Rover, that vehicle.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it is now it's a fossil. It's a fossil of this year's Rebelle rally. So, on to the news. We've been a little behind on the news because we've been steeped in rally. But first off, a little update on Land Rover's, Jaguar Land Rover's big hack. How's things going in the world of the hack?
I am led to believe that production has resumed on Land Rover vehicles.
I believe so. I think they're rolling through now again.
They may not have reached pre-hack levels yet.
Right.
My understanding is that the British auto production is at the same level as it was in 1952.
Wow. Perfect. They're making Series 1 levels of Land Rovers right now.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing.
Well,
it's amazing. World War II did not diminish the British auto industry like this hack.
Holy moly. It's
serious.
It is serious. It is serious. In fact, so serious that there's been a report this week that has said an estimated 1.9 billion pounds, so $2.5 billion for us here in the UK, and it was what the cost was to the British economy, the entire British economy. So not just Jaguar Land Rover, but the British economy took a 2 billion pound hit.
Yeah, because it's not just Land Rover, it's the suppliers, it's everything all the way down, right?
Apparently over 5,000 different organizations were impacted by this. Not the least of which is the Nando's across the street from the Sully Hill factory, apparently.
Brutal.
Yeah, totally brutal. Yeah. So it's, there you go, though. You know, it's
They're on the mend.
They're on the mend. They're getting back. They're making cars. I wonder, what would the impact on the world economy be if they had just kept making Land Rovers through that entire period? You know, just Land Rovers getting out there, not working, you know.
You think the total savings to the world economy is a net positive?
I think it might be.
Yeah.
I think it might be
That's just mean.
I think if you look at the offsets,
why would
service,
you do that? Kicking people while they're down.
It might be a benefit. But, well, speaking of back in production, as you know, Land Rover comes out with a new car every year. And this year's no different. The 2026 Land Rover Defender has been released. And you may ask, what's different? Well,
it's kind of a facelift car, right?
It's a facelift, yeah. I mean, I know one thing that you'll be thrilled with is the signature lighting, front and rear, has been updated.
Signature lighting. Does that have anything to do with a signature panel?
I don't know. It's a lit signature panel now. It has Jerry McGovern's signature lights up on it. So that's nice.
Projects it onto other vehicles.
One nice thing is that the taillights, the taillights have always been recessed.
Okay.
If you drive your Defender at all off-road and anywhere there's any kind of dust, those just fill up with dirt. They're like little dirt shelves.
That's true.
Like little dirt shelves. So they've now made those lights flush with the back of the car. So no more dirt shelf.
So it's just flush, different taillights.
Is that an upgrade, though? I don't know. I like the dirt
Easier
shelf.
to clean.
Yeah.
Clearly it's an upgrade in your opinion.
And a larger 13.1-inch center screen.
What was it before?
13 inches.
It's 13.
I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. And apparently an updated console with better space and layout and smart off-road tools for more control on rough trails. Smarter. Yeah, they had smart controls. Now they're just smarter, I guess. Yeah, so there you go.
What does any of that mean?
Essentially nothing, I think.
There's another list of updates that stand out, according to Land Rover.
According to Land Rover.
Fresh LED headlight graphics.
I don't even know what that means.
Does that mean like the shape of the
Maybe.
lamp?
Or like on a NASCAR where they're just graphics of lights. They're not really lights at all. They're just a little sticker.
A sticker, huh? So the fresh LED headlight graphics, smoked rear lights for a cleaner and sleeker style.
But less visibility when stopping.
Yeah, smoked. That means the lens is like dark, right?
It's dark.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, I guess so.
Standard fog lights now built into every trim. So the fog lights are standard.
That's good. Well, they've smoked everything, so they need more lights. 'Cause none of them are very bright anymore.
New grill bar with gloss black detail.
Oh, you need that gloss black detail. Yeah.
And then smoother bumpers with refined curves and new trim textures.
I don't know if I like smoother.
Well,
really.
I think we've got a theme here. The theme seems to be easier to wash.
Yes. Easier to wash. You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
Sleeker, smoother. Pretty soon, you're just going to slip when you look at it.
Interior-wise, as we previously mentioned, a larger 13.1-inch screen with sharp views and fast moves.
Well,
those fast moves, I guess. That's new. And a new center stack with a gear shift moved to a better spot.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how substantial do you think this upgrade package is?
Well, I mean, they have deeper bins for a more smart spacer gear. So the deeper bins, that's huge. I think this is a nothing. It's a nothing update.
It's a nothing update. What are you talking about? There's a huge list of improvements that they've made here.
Now, they're saying adaptive off-road cruise control, but didn't it already have adaptive off-road cruise control?
Possibly.
Yeah. The Octa, of course, gets the 6D dynamic suspension and terrain response has been enhanced, but this is new, a driver attention monitor.
Oh, so it yells at you when you don't look at the road?
It yells at you when you're not looking at the road. Yep, that's exactly
Everybody
right.
loves that.
Everybody loves that feature. Oh, man, that little coffee cup comes up or whatever and dings and bongs and whatever.
I mean, if you're the parent of a teen driver, you love that. Right?
Yeah, you do. You do love that for sure. Yeah. Speaking of the parent of a teen driver, new for 26 as well, a armored Defender Octa.
What?
Oh, yeah. If you are a Saudi prince and you are constantly being shot at, not just shot at, apparently this is bullet and hand grenade resistant.
I want to be on the testing crew for that.
Right? I don't believe it's rocket-propelled grenade, but hand grenades. Yeah,
just lobbing hand grenades at these cars, new Land Rovers. That'd be amazing.
So InCas, which is, a popular third-party customizer, they do, like Bentley and they do those Escalades for the, they're a well-known armorer, has done not just the Defender. Actually, they've had the Defender previously, but now they're like, do you also want 6D suspension and a 600 horsepower? You probably need the 600 horsepower motor because, as I've experienced in the past, these cars, when they're armored, they gain like a ton. Like they're so heavy. They're so heavy.
That's a good point. I would wonder how the standard Land Rover compares performance-wise to the Octa armored.
Yeah, it's a good point. And how much of the body roll control and all of that sort of stuff in the 6D suspension is enhanced or, I imagine, significantly diminished by the armor.
I don't know. Yeah. It doesn't really say what the weight difference is between the two vehicles, but
no, it doesn't.
I'm assuming the windows are a big part of that. Window armored.
And it usually means that the windows can't roll all the way down, some of that sort of stuff, but they have the ability to put, those LED lights. There's some enhanced lighting in the car that blinks and, does like police lighting and stuff, as these vehicles are often used by, I'm not sure what like police organization or whatever is using a Defender Octa, but I don't know, maybe.
Someone with a budget surplus just saw this and was like, woohoo!
Yeah, no estimate on price from what I can tell just yet. Of course, 60
Should we send them a request for a quote?
Yeah, let's submit. Yeah, I think it's one of those things where if you need to ask, it doesn't matter.
Let's ask.
Oh, let's do it.
We definitely don't matter, so we should totally ask.
Maybe we can get a test model.
Oh yeah, we'll do a review.
Yeah,
and then we can lob hand grenades at it.
Yeah, do you think they'll let us throw some hand grenades at it?
I doubt it.
You sit inside, I'll throw some hand grenades, and then we'll switch. It's only fair.
All right. Sounds good.
It's only fair.
I know your throwing isn't your strong suit, so I feel completely safe.
Completely safe. Well, speaking of hand grenades, our good friends over at Toyota have lobbed over a tiny little hand grenade in the return of the FJ to the Land Cruiser market. This time not called the FJ Cruiser. They're just calling this one the Land Cruiser FJ. But it is it's like if a Jimny went on holiday in the United States for a couple of months and just gained a ton of weight.
How big is this thing? Do we know?
It's halfway between a Jimny and a full-size Land Cruiser. So it's kind of like the Jeep Renegade. Do you know that? Not the old style Jeepy Jeep, but the little the new Renegade that they came out with. It's about the same size as that car. So, bigger than a Honda CR-V sort of thing, but much smaller than a sort of full-sized SUV, which, of course, begs the question, will they bring it to the United States? I think the answer is yes, but all of the photos, everything in the press releases and everything is right now for the non-U.S. market. In fact, these are Japanese market vehicles that they have in all their documentation and everything, but
definitely has the horrible rearward visibility of the original FJ Cruiser.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's
definitely has that. But I've always had a soft spot for small Land Cruisers ever since I saw a Delta Mini Cruiser. If you've ever seen one of those, you should totally Google it because they're incredible. It's like an FJ40 that's all shrunk down, and the Delta Mini Cruiser is a very cool vehicle.
I like this new one. I think that it preserves a lot of the FJ Cruiser sort of styling with obviously that big weird, no third window kind of thing.
That. Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, and it doesn't really look anything like an original FJ at all. They are showing it with this weird little bike in a few photos, which I'm not really sure what the point of that is, if that's meant to be. You remember that thing that Honda made that's like the little suitcase that fits in the back?
Yes, I see a guy running around with one of those at some of the motorcycle swap meets.
They're awesome.
They're made by Honda, right?
Yeah, it's a Honda. It's meant to fit in the back of the Civic perfectly. And so you would park your Civic somewhere, and you would take this out, I think basically kind of where the spare wheel of the Civic would go, and they're like, you don't need a spare wheel, you've got a tiny motorcycle. So when the car, when it gets a flat, you just take out your motorcycle and keep going.
Just leave the car.
But yeah, it's like a little suitcase. And the idea was you could ride it to your place of work, and then it would fold back into its little suitcase. I imagine smelling like a chainsaw, as it's, I assume, two-stroke. And you would carry it into your place of business like a little suitcase. And then when you were ready to go at the end of the day, you'd get back on and you'd go, I guess, presumably to wherever your car was parked. I'm not exactly sure.
I love Japanese engineering.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's just like, let's just make this thing.
We're just going to make it. We don't need to justify it. We're just going to make it.
We'll make it, and then we'll try to figure out why it's practical.
They love to back into an explanation for why something exists. It exists first. We justify it.
Yeah.
But the new FJ's got some cool stuff. It's got like a mole sort of panel on the back door as standard, and they have a lot of their own little accessories that are clip into this little square hole system, which is kind of cool. Very Defender-y looking inside with sort of a parcel shelf kind of front dash, and then quite a wide little screen up there, and traditional kind of tunnel sort of setup with the gear shift and everything kind of rolling down the side of the driver, and a very simply a pointed interior. Let's say that it has a pretty plain seats, pretty plain interior. I think this is really meant to be kind of an adventure-y sort of vehicle.
A lifestyle car, a lot of plastic cladding.
There is a ton. That seems to be the hallmark of a lifestyle like off-roader, is that it's plastic up to about 30% of the vehicle. Like
matte plastic, yeah.
Rubbermaid garbage can up to about the middle of the door.
I feel like Subaru was very successful implementing that and making their like Outbacks and so forth more lifestyle, adventure oriented by doing that. They had like their standard sedans and they're like, let's put some cladding on this thing.
Let's just put some Rubbermaid fender flares on this thing. And but this is, mostly front bumper, this car. It's, 45% front bumper makes up most of the car. They have a little snorkel. They've got a little roof rack. They got all kinds of the cute little
side bumpers too.
Stuff. Yeah, side bumpers. They got these
bumpers.
Little bike things. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but they got,
It's just a bumper car.
Yeah.
So let's just face it, it's a bumper car.
It's a bumper car, and it's got, I don't know, no word yet on exactly what they're targeting from a sales perspective, number wise, but it is expected to go on sale in 27, a 27 model. So that probably means end of next year, maybe the next year, hard to say. And little tiny 2.7 liter motor. So 160 or 160 horsepower, 181 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a little guy. They also have a turbocharged hybrid powertrain that will get you 210 horsepower and 230 foot-pounds of torque. Yeah, I mean, it's not meant to be a...
It does have a transfer case, though.
Yes, exactly. 6-speed automatic, part-time four-wheel drive with transfer case. It compares it to the Cherokee that uses a PTO to drive its rear wheels.
It has a CVT, yeah.
That's
it's
really
like a snowmobile. Yeah.
Yeah, like a snowmobile, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally like a snowmobile.
That's interesting, yeah. Now, the question is, of course, is it coming to the United States? We don't know. Hard to say.
Nah, probably not.
They're not saying yet, but...
Not right now.
This is the kind of car that, unfortunately, we have not been getting lately.
We don't deserve it.
We don't deserve it. To be fair, you're right.
Look at us. We don't deserve this.
Savages. And so that's what we have. That's what we have for the news. Yet another small SUV that I kind of want that I can't have. So
you really like those things.
Fuck, I love them. A little Jimny, man, like a little fluorescent yellow-green Jimny. God, I want it real bad. Real bad.
Yeah, well, now that things are really easy to import and really cost-effective to import, it should be no problem for you.
We have an exceptional relationship with Mexico, so easy to just
we need to do a tariff breakdown in next episode or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because they're getting fierce. Those 200% aluminum and steel tariffs are. A lot of things are made out of aluminum and steel.
It's funny how that works. Hey, there are a few things I've heard.
Yeah.
People tell me.
Some pieces of Land Rover are made from aluminum.
It's true. It is true. So, speaking of things made of aluminum, what's happening up there at the old Pangolin 4x4?
Ironically, some Land Rovers that are not made of aluminum.
That's a good point.
Yeah, due to tariffs, we've had to start looking at making series Land Rovers out of non-aluminum materials.
Right.
And so we had a customer come to us with an interesting project. We've talked about it a little bit on the show previously.
Yep.
They are a wooden car enthusiast. So most wooden cars are pre-war automobiles. There's a few exceptions to that. But, previous to World War II, a lot of cars had a high wood content. Even cars that weren't traditionally seen as a woody, or a woody station wagon or something like that, they still had a lot of wood in them. The bodies were made of wood with steel or aluminum panels wrapped over the top of the wood structure.
Right.
So a lot of pre-war cars are kind of difficult or unique to restore or build because they have not only metalworking processes that are required, but also woodworking processes.
Right.
So we had a customer that we had done some work for previously on some Land Rover vehicles, and they said, well, what do you think about a wooden Land Rover? And, I hadn't really researched it. I'd seen some cars that had, wooden elements to them. Pollyanna is probably one of the most famous vehicles that had a coach-built wooden hardtop that was put on it.
Yeah, right.
If you remember, and some of the trips that Barbara Toy took, it had that wooden hardtop on it. And then the Queen, there's some pictures of the Queen that are pictured with a wooden coach-built vehicle.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Tickford wagon has a wood structure with aluminum panels wrapped over the top. But you don't see a lot of the wooden elements
No,
in those cars.
you don't really see
Some on the inside. There's some trim and so forth, but not a lot. So we started looking at some of these pictures of some of these pre-war cars. And, of course, as vehicles transitioned from less wood content and less, handmade construction to more machine processes and more steel bodies, a lot of these builders that were employed in that traditionally, these pre-war wooden coach builder folks, they were all of a sudden kind of out of work after the war. There weren't a lot of cars that had wood content to them.
Sure.
And it was more of a trim, a statement on a fancier car if you had like a wooden dashboard or something like that. It sort of elevated the car, in a way, because it had this sort of traditional craft, And then these wooden coach builders, they started to, they were essentially unemployed, not used. And the Tickford wagon especially was a very expensive car, and some of these coach builders, got employed in special projects. People would buy a Land Rover and say, well, I kind of want a Tickford wagon, but I can't afford it because it's twice as expensive as a standard model.
Is a standard model? Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe could you build something like that? Or, maybe a vehicle would get damaged, and be sold off, and somebody would be like, know one of these unemployed coach builder fellows, and they would be like, hey, could you build a body for the back of this damaged vehicle?
Yeah.
So anyway, you start to see all of these, wooden cars, wooden Land Rovers, and there's quite a few of them, and there's long and short wheelbase versions, and there's, ones that are partially wood, like just hard tops or doors or stuff like that, and then there's complete bodies. And so the owner of this car wanted a complete wooden car, like a woody wagon Land Rover, shooting brake conversion.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's definitely outside of our wheelhouse. We don't do a lot of woodwork at our shop. And I was initially very hesitant, but, it was pretty intriguing having all this history with the, wooden vehicles and wooden Land Rovers, and you don't hear a lot about it, but when you start to research it, you start to see those examples of those vehicles. But there's not many left. There's some original photos, there's some original drawings, but I think in the late 60s and 70s, a lot of these Series 1 wooden Land Rovers were kind of pushed out of the garages into the rain and left to rot.
Just left to return to Mother Earth from whence they came.
So they don't really exist. There's maybe a couple examples out there of original cars that are built this way, but not many. So, working from photographs and talking to some woodworkers and cabinet makers and so forth about, the best way to proceed with this project, we kind of decided that we could potentially do this. And so we designed, with the help of the customer, a wooden body that incorporated a lot of elements of those early vehicles, but it doesn't look like a Tickford wagon, it doesn't look like an existing model.
Right.
But it draws on a lot of these elements of these traditionally wooden built cars. So it's been a really long process with a couple of false starts, but we're on the home stretch. We've got the body mounted on it, and the entire drivetrain is restored, chassis restored, axles, brakes, etc. All of that is restored. So we've got the more or less completed wooden body on the chassis now. So we're finishing up a lot of the mechanical details and installing the glass and the window regulators and, sort of that last 10% process right now. So it's really coming along. I'm pretty excited about it. It's really unique, and I'm sure it'll be polarizing. There's certain elements of it that I really like that are very attractive. And then, obviously being made of wood, it's a different material. And so there's other elements that are, they have to be slightly bigger or slightly, different than a standard Land Rover would be. So
right.
In detail, there's a couple things that I would be like, oh, those are kind of awkward, but I'm so used to working with metal and steel and, things that you can really whittle down to a skeletal structure and have a lightweight vehicle. So it's different than that. So it's more of like a British shooting brake kind of feel to it. But when you're inside of it, it's just like amazing. There's so many.
It's like being in an armoire.
Yeah, there's so many different textures, and it's very different. Very different. It's really super cool. And it definitely has that sort of old world British upper class, sort of feel to it.
It's super cool. I mean, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Like it's like a piece of like heritage furniture. Like it really is gorgeous. Yeah. And I think it's going to be super cool. So now, so far as protecting that wood, is that something that do you do an automotive lacquer on top of it? What's the process now?
It's
varnished. You just oil it like a butcher block?
It's varnished like a boat.
Okay.
Yeah. So like a wooden boat, it's like the same sort of deal. Mm-hmm. And then the top of the vehicle, it's got these sort of slats that form the roof. So there's like, I don't know, maybe 100 lengthways.
Yes.
And so when you're in the car, it's like a cathedral. You have all these like thin strips of wood that make up the roof, and it's super cool. Yeah. On the outside, it's like when you see a woody wagon and you kind of look at it and study it, you'll see that there's a fabric covering that's waterproof that's on the very, very top of the car.
Yeah.
And it's tacked in place. And so it's got like a gutter, and the material is stretched over the top, and it's held in place with the gutter. And so the gutter is tacked on there.
Oh my God.
And so that's very much like a pre-war automotive construction.
Yeah. Yeah. Because now you would just glass it. You just fiberglass it. And
you might.
Would be, like a boat, right? Where you'd wrap the entire shell in fiberglass most likely, but a Chris Craft boat kind of a a
Yeah, it's super cool.
Crisscross boat, which is like a boat that wears its
just
pants
backwards on the back.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That was a terrible joke, Stephen.
Do you know that Chrissy doesn't listen to the show, and I spent almost 3 months convincing our children that we were, in fact, in the band Crisscross.
You were in the band?
Yeah, that we were the band. Yeah.
You were the band Crisscross.
We were the band Crisscross.
That is a very difficult rumor to substantiate.
The kids, they didn't believe us from the outset, but we were really set on it. And they hadn't realized that we had talked about it separately. And so when it came up casually in conversation, and I was able to say, Uncle Chris and I used to be in Crisscross. And she's like, why Uncle Chris said that? It doesn't make any sense at all. And I'm like, no, it was our thing. We'd like wear our pants backwards. And
the more you explain this, the more I'm just sad for your children.
Yeah, it make you want to jump.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. Yeah. So anyways.
Well, if you don't know who Crisscross is, don't look it up, because it's one of the sadder chapters in American music history.
It's true. Yeah. I cannot wait to check out this Woody wagon in person. It just looks absolutely incredible. I think you've put some teaser shots, some alluring tantric shots of it up on your Instagram.
It's true.
Man, it's just looking so good. So the engine's done, right? That's all mechanically done. Now, it has a standard Land Rover front, though, still, right? It's going to be like a Tickford wagon or whatever else, where it has standard wings and a hood and everything.
It has standard wings. It has side lights. It has, that standard stuff that you would expect to see on an 80-inch. It's a 51, so it's headlights through the grill.
Uh-huh.
And we used a 2-liter spread bore engine, so hopefully we'll have a little bit more.
Yeah, a little bit of a
oomph,
later
more oomph
style.
It'll have like standard floors and seat box. It'll have a custom interior.
Yeah.
And it is getting really close. But
and the Tickford wagons have like a little bit of a different dash over the bulkhead, right? Is this just a standard bulkhead, or is there something special with the bulkhead too?
It does currently have the standard bulkhead with the lozenge shaped binnacle. That's all pretty standard stuff, but we are considering doing something like a parcel tray above it. So that remains to be seen. But cool. It'll have the sort of fancy Land Rover tire cover, the spun aluminum one on the hood.
Of course, with that bronze or brass, rather, fixing knob.
Yeah, we cast some new ones of those. So
very, very cool.
Yeah, super cool.
The little 3-prong crown looking deal.
It's four.
Oh, it's 4.
Yeah.
So I imagine that was like from a bathtub or something in the 1950s. They're like, oh, this will work.
It does look and feel kind of like that, but it is heavy and bronze, and it is super cool. So when we were last in the UK, we took some pictures of that hardware and had some of that remade. So I'm excited to put some of these elements together, and it'll definitely be unique, and some people will love it and some people hate it, but it definitely took a ton of effort, and I really have grown to love it. I initially was like, oh, the proportions are a little strange, but when you look at the pictures of the old vehicles, that's what they were like. It really does embody that pre-war shooting brake sort of feel. So I'm excited.
So cool. Do you think you'll ever make another one? Do you think anyone else?
Gosh, I hope not. No, this is so much work. It's so much work. Oh my gosh. Every piece of the body, has to be constructed and designed and thought about, and it just takes so much longer than, a standard
Just
Land
restoring
Rover
your car.
project.
Yeah. Wow, super cool. Well, I cannot wait. I'm about to tear into the rear differential of the classic Defender 90 rally car because that car will be on display at the Maxxis booth at SEMA coming up here in a couple of weeks. And so if you are in Vegas for the SEMA show, make sure you stop by the Maxxis booth. You can see the original Dream Machine, the NAS Defender 90 with its John Neal's racing motor and its fancy braid wheels and Maxxis tires and all that sort of business. And now a functioning rear differential provided by, well, Justin and our good friends at Lucky 8 via our other good friends at Ashcroft. We now have a full-on rally-style limited slip differential in the back that probably won't get destroyed by the John Neal's motor. So we'll see. Time will tell.
Time will tell. I'm sure you can manage. You know, you have a way with mechanical things.
I do. We'll go find a drainage disc to drop it, to jump it over, and it'll be great.
Be fine.
It will be great. Well, at that, we have come to the natural conclusion of this week's Underpowered Hour. And thanks, as always, for joining us. If you haven't gone back and listened to every moment of the Rebelle Rally coverage, please feel free to do that. Jenna and Liza are considering doing some extended content with Brody around that. For those who are interested, we'll probably make that available on our Patreon or potentially on YouTube under the YouTube subscriptions if you're interested. And otherwise, if you're at SEMA, drop by. Liza and Jenna will be there. We are going to maybe be there. We'll see. It depends on schedules and all that sort of stuff. But after last time, they said you can never come back to SEMA. Never.
You're banned.
No, after Chip Foose was insulted by our presence.
I didn't hear about that.
Oh man, yeah. He asked us never to return.
I'm not surprised. You do get that a lot.
I do. Yeah, it's true.
Well, fun chatting with you on this episode, and look forward to seeing you out on the trail.
Exactly. We'll see you next week. The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Beres, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Beres. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.